Hi everyone, for today's geography lesson, we're going to be having a little look at the Arctic. So let's get started. So the first slide you're going to see is a little bit of a title slide that just asks, where is the Arctic? Now this week and last week, we'll be learning lots and lots about the Arctic. And you might recognise that word from when we've been doing our word of the day and our geography sessions. Okay, so what does the word Arctic mean? So the Arctic Circle is one of the 5 major circles of latitude, so imaginary lines around the Earth. Now what you might be able to see on my world map here is this line of latitude, which goes straight across the Earth. Now, this is the Arctic Circle, okay? And you can see it here as well. So there's the circle that goes right the way around the Earth, and that is the Arctic Circle, okay? And they're often marked on maps of the Earth, so like we can see here. It also can be shown by signs and statues where the line passes through each country. The Arctic Circle is one way to say what part of the Earth is in the Arctic. So the North Pole is in the very centre. So as you can see by this map, this little cross here is the North Pole. You can also see lots of different countries are part of the Arctic Circle. Now, the North and South Poles are furthest away from the equator, which means they curve away from the sun's rays. So you can sort of see by this map here with the curve that we know that the North Pole is up here and the South Pole is down here in Antarctica. So because they move away from the sun's rays, what do you think that means for the temperature? Do you think that makes them warm or do you think that makes them cold? I'll let you have a little bit of a think about that one. So the sun's rays have to travel further to reach these places. The further the sun's heat has to travel, the cooler it becomes. So the North Pole and the South Pole are the coldest places on Earth, okay? There is a permanent ice cap at the North Pole, which means that the area around the North Pole is frozen sea and has ice 2 to 3 meters thick, which is very, very thick. During the Arctic winter, the sea will often freeze to cover much of the area within the Arctic Circle. Now, in the North Pole, there is no land at all. It is purely frozen water, so frozen sea, whereas Antarctica is a frozen area of land. Now, although these places are furthest from the sun's rays, not all of the Arctic region is cold all the time. So like other places in the world, they have a summer period where it's slightly warmer, which means some of the ice will break up and it will melt. Now, like we've spoken about before, I have included some different links for you to have a look at while you're at home. Now, if you click this one, it'll take you to a page all about the Arctic Circle. So this is by Kiddle. It'll just give you some different facts, including like the countries that are part of the Arctic Circle, you know, and other sort of related pages that you guys could have a look at while you're at home. Now, if I go back to that little slideshow for a moment. So today we're going to have a little bit of a think about where is the Arctic, okay? Now we've got a bit of a clip next to it here, but before we watch it, sorry, I want you to have a think about the climate in the Arctic. So why is it so cold? Why do you think that, okay? Have a little think about that while we're watching the clip, all right? So again, I'm going to click this blue one and it's going to take me to the correct web page, okay? Let's have a little watch of this one.
This is a BBC weather map of the world showing different temperatures in different areas. Now let's add the temperatures from our weather watchers around the world. Let's start in Baffin Island. In Baffin Island, it's -3 Celsius. It's warm and sunny in Spain. It's 22 Celsius.
In Sweden, it's 2 Celsius. In Botswana in Africa, it's 38 Celsius. That's really hot.
And in Tanzania, it's 34 Celsius.
There are patterns of colour, with lots of red discs in the middle and lots of white discs in the top and bottom of the screen. I wonder why.
Ask the weather forecaster.
In the middle is the equator, and at the top and the bottom are the poles. There are different sorts of weather in different parts of the world. Where the weather is similar, we call this the climate for that area. Well, let's have a look at the pattern of the weather around the world. At the top of the world, it's an Arctic climate. Places with this type of climate have extremely cold, long winters and only slightly warmer summers. Alaska, Siberia, and Lapland have this climate. These are some of the coldest places on Earth. the temperature may only get above freezing for 2 months of the year, and the average temperature can be minus 55 Celsius. That's cold. There's lots of snow and ice, and few people or animals live here. Places slightly further south from the Arctic and slightly closer to the equator have a temperate climate. We're in northwest Europe, which has a temperate climate, with warm summers and cool winters with snow. If we cross the Atlantic, we find a temperate climate in parts of North America. And then as we cross the Pacific, we find a temperate climate in northern Japan. Getting a little closer to the equator, places have a Mediterranean climate. This includes countries on the Mediterranean Sea, like Greece, Italy, and Spain, but also parts of California in North America. All of these places have mild, wet winters and hot, dry summers. Even closer to the equator are places with a desert climate. These countries have very little rainfall and large temperature differences between night and day and summer and winter. Places with this climate are the famous Sahara Desert in North Africa and the big desert area across the Atlantic in Arizona in North America. Some of the hottest places in the world can be found in this climate zone. In the daytime, the temperatures can be between 38 and 49 Celsius. But at night, the temperature can drop right down to a chilly 5 Celsius. Very few people live in this climate. And here in the middle, at the equator, the climate is wet tropical. That means that countries here are hot and wet. They can be found in a belt around the middle of the Earth, in Central Africa, in Central America, and right the way across the Pacific in South Asia. These places have a lot of rain and the temperature stays at around 30 Celsius all year. There are only 2 seasons, a long hot and wet season and a short hot and dry season. As we go further south, away from the equator, the climate gets cooler again until we reach the Antarctic.
Hello again. Right, let's just share the activity screen with you guys again. Okay, so the weather changes in different parts of the world. Where there are similar weather patterns, this is known as a climate. So like the weather reporter was saying, the closer to the equator, you have a warmer climate. Somewhere in the middle, you have a temperate climate where you have warm summers and cold winters. And then in the Arctic region, so at the top and the bottom of the world, you have a much more cold climate. Okay, so at the top of the Earth, there is the Arctic climate, and some of the coldest temperatures in the world are found here. Now, temperate climates are found a bit further south, like we were saying, and as you approach the equator, you find Mediterranean and desert climates. Some of the hottest places on Earth are found here, and few people live in that climate. So few people live in the warm, in the very, very hot climates, and few people live in the very, very cold. At the equator, there is a tropical climate, and traveling south of the equator, it gets cooler again before reaching the Antarctic. Okay, now I've included this for you guys to have a look at home and have a little bit of fun. So using the link, try using Google Earth to travel from Derby to the Arctic Circle. So seeing what countries you come across, and it will sort of allow you to trace the route that you would follow from the Antarctic down to Derby. Have a think about the countries you pass through and which ones just touch the Arctic Circle and which ones are within it. So once you've had a go with Google Earth, I'm going to let you get on with these questions. Now, this might be something that you just talk to a family member about, or talk to your brother and sister, your mum and dad, whoever you're at home with, or you might want to jot them down on this page. That's completely up to you with however you want to fill it in. So you've got things like the Arctic Circle is near to, you know, what countries is it near to? What part of the world is it near to? The Arctic Circle is far from. So what countries or regions is it the furthest away from? It's north of, which means that it is above. What places is it above? You've then got, what is it, west of? Okay, so what places is it kind of next to? And where is the Arctic Circle south of? So is there anything above the Arctic Circle? I'll let you get on with that one. Okay, so that is your activity for today. Have fun. Please make sure you send us a photo and add it to your class portfolio so we can have a look and give you some feedback. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.